Hello, everyone. I am back. And let me catch you up on what we've been doing. My job has been to get the hood to work. It's been a big job. I'm getting there. I see daylight at the end of the tunnel. What I did was this hood used to have straight edges on it, and then the C6 hood is kind of bat wing shaped, I guess, whatever you want to call it. So I had to make the two work. Well, I ended up taking the hood off of the C6 to C2 conversion and then cutting it to fill the gap in between the Grand Sport, C2 Grand Sport hood vents and the C6 hood. The two need to be at the same level at the edge. So what I decided to do was trim the pieces so that I could cut them. I could set the wings on top of the red part here, bond the black pieces to the gray piece, and then make it into a one-piece hood. I'll put something here so that it doesn't stick to the red one, and so this will be a standalone separate hood. Previously, I was thinking I would have it overlap and then I'd have to sand it smooth and try to get the two to stick together. This allows me to make sure that they're at the same level, so it saves a lot of bodywork time. Let's see, there's the two pieces. I used a paper template. I don't know where it is. Anyway, that's what I started with. I started with a paper template, made one side, and then I flipped that paper template over and used on the other side. That made sure that those two wings were as close to identical as I could get. And then once I got it very, very close, then you can see I used binder clips. Clipped it all together, and then I sanded or used the cutter to get it virtually identical. All the different lines were different alignment lines. It took a lot of trial and error to put the piece on and say, does that look right or not look right, and then cut however it needed to be cut to make it fit. One of the things I did was I raised the back of the hood up. So if you get in here and see, I'm not sure if you can see. Yeah, if you look close, you can see one of the nuts. I stacked two nuts there and then put a screw through them, and that raised this up. There we are. The reason I did that is there's a couple of things I don't like about the C5s and C6s. One is the fact that the windshield wipers show from the factory. They're just in plain sight. I think they detract from the look of the car. But if I extended the hood to cover them, the wipers would hit. So I decided, why don't I just raise up the back of the hood to clear? I tried trimming it and I just couldn't get it trimmed enough, mostly because of that passenger side one. So by raising it up, that's resolved the issue. I do have a new set of wipers coming. These are dead. And so it should raise it up probably, a quarter of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, something like that. So I made sure I had plenty of clearance. Anybody that's driven a car with a hood scoop, you're used to looking past the hood scoop. Those that aren't. They'll either get over it or not drive it, one of the two. All right, so these two match now, and you can see I made an unusual cut so that it will fit against here as close as possible, and then it's going to slant down to where it meets the edge of the red hood. And that's got it. It just took an unbelievable amount of trial and error fits to get all of this to work. All right, the other thing that has been done, a couple other things, is the roof of the car. We've decided to do it in chopped carbon fiber. We did the chopped carbon fiber. We're sanding it because the chopped carbon fiber makes a rough finish. And so we're sanding it smooth. It takes a lot of sanding. Epoxy sucks to sand. Any of you that have ever done so would know. I mean, it makes body filler look like it's a piece of cake. All right, so we're doing that. We're almost there. Those shiny spots still need to go, but that's it. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, So we could have made a mold off of this and then made the parts in a mold, and it would have cut down on the sanding. The problem is it would take a day to make a mold. And I asked my assistant what did they want to do, and they said, I'd rather sand than spend a half a day or a day making a mold. So that's what we're doing. Now we will make a mold off of this when it's done, but at the end of this, by the end of tomorrow, we'll have a finished roof in carbon fiber, chopped carbon fiber. Okay, I'm trying to make sure there's nothing I missed. There is nothing I missed. All right, come up here, and on my Facebook page, I put pictures of the mirror. Let me turn the light on here. I was ready to go. I usually do this at the end of the day. All right, turn the light. So this is the hatch that is done in chopped carbon fiber, and it needs a final sanding and clear coating. So we will do that tomorrow. And of course it needs trimming, the edges. By the way, if you work with carbon fiber, watch out for these edges. If they have epoxy in them, they're like little needles. And they get in you, it's way worse than fiberglass. I'll just put it that way. The mirror, we did the same thing. I made a new mirror. I didn't like the shape of the C5, C6 mirror, and so I did a new one. The other one was too organic, and like somebody said, it looks like a sock that you put over a golf club. So what I did was I thinned it out where I could. I didn't want to put a new glass in it. I didn't want to mess with wiring, and I didn't like the shape. So what I did was I basically cut as much of the actual mirror away that I could, and then replaced it with foam board, hot glue, to get a more angular shape so it didn't look like a golf club sock. All right, it's hard to tell from this what it looks like, and I don't want to mess with it, but you'll see in a day or two, it'll look a lot better once it gets polished. It looks still a little bit like a golf sock, but it won't look as much once I do that. I made sure I kept some sharp edges, and so what happens without the gloss, you don't see the sharp edges. They'll show up when we do that. This was like the 4th iteration of a mirror. This is, I don't know, the 2nd iteration. And what happened is when I covered up the original mirror, there's the original mirror there, it got too fat. The first one was unbelievably fat. Those of you that are familiar with this mirror know that. So I went in and did this first version, or actually this is probably first, second, third version, and I don't like it, or didn't like it. So then I went back to this one and said, all right, what do I want it to look like? And what you can see is that huge difference in the neck right there. That neck right there is, stick my fingers up here. Let's see, a little bit wider than my 2 fingers, maybe almost 3 fingers. And I liked this general shape. If you look here, this one's 4 fingers and doesn't have the same shape. So part of the thing tomorrow is go after this one and make it look like that one. It's going to be a lot of work. They're not even close right now. Okay, I think that is it. I'm getting a little low on epoxy, so I need to order some. This stuff is rather expensive. It's $900 for its 7.5 gallon kit. So it's 5 gallons of the epoxy and then 2.5 gallons of the resin. So I need to order some more. I've been trying to find a less expensive option. The problem is the specs on most of the epoxy says it needs to be at least 70 degrees. Where I can keep the office at 70 or the shop at 70, but it's been getting down to freezing at night. So I'd rather not run the heater that long if I can avoid it. And this epoxy, I was going to check that and see how low it says it will go. Let me flip it around here. I don't want to set it on the table because it's sticky. It's hard not to make stuff sticky when you're doing this. Okay, let's see, properties. I don't think this is going to focus on that, so I will read it. It is rather small print. Okay, so minimum curing temperature. For fast hardener, you can go as cold as 35 degrees Fahrenheit or 2 degrees centigrade. And then for the slow hardener, which is what this is, you can go down to 55 degrees Fahrenheit or 13 degrees centigrade. We want to use the slow hardener so that we have time to smooth out the surface as much as possible. So that allows us to go down to 55 degrees. During the days, it's been getting up to, upper 50s, lower 60s. So that works out fine for us. So I need to do this. The other, I can save a couple $100 by using the other stuff. But again, the temperature range is the issue. And so I got to decide tomorrow, is it worth saving $200 to try to work around the temperature or just get another set of this and move on. Okay, that takes care of that. Got plenty of carbon fiber, and we keep buying more chopped carbon fiber, so that's taken care of. Luckily, the chopped carbon fiber only takes a couple of days to get here. I get it off of Amazon. All right, let me go ahead and kill the light. All right. Okay. The other thing is we spend a day cleaning up the shop, picking up the shop. Needless to say, it gets dusty with all this sanding, so we have to go through and clean it regularly, probably in the next couple of days. We're having a cold front come this week. Our high temperature, like, I don't know, maybe Monday or Tuesday, something like that, is going to be 28 degrees, which is weird for us, but we usually get a cold snap. So the idea is to get as much done as possible in the shop so that those couple of days that it's so cold, we can work in the office, we can shut off the shop and then only heat the office instead of trying to heat this big shop and keep it warm. So that means I have to finish this hood by the next 2 days. I've got 2 days to finish this hood to the point that we are going to put the epoxy and carbon fiber on it. So we're going to do chopped carbon fiber, and we're going to do it just like we did the roof section, in that I'm going to build this fiberglass piece, and then we're going to put epoxy on it, chopped carbon on it, and then some more epoxy to smooth it out, then some clear coat. But it'll require a lot of sanding. So we're going to do that in the next couple of days. So like I said, I've got 2 days to get this completely ready. I think I can do it. I don't think it's going to be a big issue. And once I get this mocked up and get the side wings attached to the centerpiece, then we can epoxy it together, and then we can completely take this off of the red hood underneath. We won't need any of this part right here. We'll use the framework, but only enough of the framework to keep the hinges, the hinge mounts, and then the latch mechanism. That's all I really need off of this. At some time in the future, I can remake that out of carbon fiber, but for this first version, it's just not worth the effort. Oh, and then once we do all of this and get the chopped carbon fiber and get it all smooth and everything, we'll do like we are going to do with the roof section. We'll make a mold off of that finished piece, and then future pieces will be started from scratch out of the mold. Now, some people say this is backwards, and yes, it is, but what we're looking at is we need to get finished parts as quick as possible. So I could go off, make this thing in just the fiberglass that it's in, and then make a mold off of that, and then make the chopped carbon fiber piece off of that. But by doing it this way, we don't have to make a mold immediately, and it's a trade-off between sanding time and the time to make a mold. I talked to my assistant, and they said they don't mind sanding and would rather do that than make a mold. Same thing with the roof. All right, I think that's got it. So I've got a couple days worth of hard work to get this done in time. My assistant warned me if I don't get this to the point that they can work in the office, they're not going to work. They're not going to come in and work on the cold shop. So I've got to get it to that stage. All right, that's all I've got. Like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks, share this. And if you don't like what we're doing, you don't know Jack. Bye.